Because it is kind of a coveted thing, right? People love the idea of being on the air. It is a special way of connecting.
Welcome back to How Much Can I Make? I'm Merav Ozeri, a curious journalist with fascination for all things work and careers. Because I'm also an avid radio listener, I contacted Adam Schartoff from WKZE. And I'm here to find out what it's really like to host a radio show and at the same time juggle the role of radio traffic controller. So, if radio is your passion or your dream, you have to listen to this one. Let's dive right in. So we are here with Adam Schartoff from WKZE, which is a station I listen to all the time. I love their music, I love the programs, they're fantastic. So welcome, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Merav. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Let's start by telling us, what is it that you do here at the radio station?
We're a very small operation, WKZE that is, so I do a number of things, but I was hired to be the traffic director. And what the traffic director does, so we have salespeople who get advertisers to buy ads on our station. They have a contract, the advertiser. So they may want a certain number of ads to run at certain times of the week or day. So I am the person who is responsible for making sure that those contracts are fulfilled correctly. So let's say you want to advertise with us and you want to buy 10 spots and you want them to run throughout the week. And you want them to run just in the morning during the morning drive period, right? With the software I use, as the traffic director, I make sure that they go into those places, and then it gets combined with the music, and that's how it works. So it's called traffic. It's a lot more involved than making it sound, but that's in a nutshell. That's what they needed when they hired me. But it turns out that pretty much anybody that works here can be on the air. It may not be like a whole big shift from in the middle of the day, but they'll find a shift for you if you want to do it. So it may be on, let's say, a Saturday afternoon for a couple of hours. But it so happened that somebody left shortly after I came here who was in the the middle shift of the day. So from 10 to 3 weekdays. So I got that shift, and I've been doing it for a few years now, I guess.
So what kind of things you do on air?
Well, one thing is you let people know the songs they just heard. That's called, for those listening, this is inside term, backselling. So, if we're coming out of like 4 songs that played in a row, then I would come on and say, you just heard, and I would tell people the song they just heard and then work my way backward to the last break. I may do the weather. I might talk about one of our advertisers because that's part of a contract. It might be not just a recorded advertisement, but you may also, as an advertiser, you also may want the host to also talk about your business on the air as well. That's could be part of the contract. And then I have some features that I do. One I introduced called the Film Club, which is every week. This is just my own invention, but I choose because I have a lot of film knowledge. So I bring every week a different film or theme at 1 o'clock every day, and I'll play a song from the soundtrack, a different song each of the 5 days of that week, and then tell an anecdote about the film. People seem to like it. One way you know that it's growing in popularity is that one of our advertisers, or more than one of them, will sponsor it. So that's also part of a contract. So they may sponsor a feature. We have lots of different features, not just the Film Club. There's all sorts of other features. Rick, who you just met in the mornings, he has something called Good News, where he talks about something back in the past on the same day that happened, and with a positive slant typically. And that's a feature. And then like MK, who's our afternoon drive, she's after me. She has one. I'm just mentioning one feature called Vinyl Vault, where she plays something from the past you may not typically hear on KZE. Or she has one called the Ski Trail Report, which is talking about what's going on with the weather in the mountains and the ski. If you're a skier, you want to kind of know how good the skiing might be. So she talks about that. And those are sponsored by, we have 2 ski resort sponsors. So
that's nice. Do you have total freedom to choose what you want to talk about in your shows?
That's a great question, Merav. Yes and no. We're a non-political station. And I would love to
That's
be able
why
to...
I like your station.
Okay. Yeah, it's a break from that. It's true. I mean, at my impulse is I would love to be able to talk about what's bothering me or what's making me feel positive about, things going on in the world. Right these days, it seems to be more the former than the latter. It's more of what's bothering me. There's a lot to talk about. But that's not our station. We're a music station. We have a very good general manager here, and he said, let your music, your choices of songs speak for you. So I try to do that. So I'll play songs, obviously not every song, only a small portion, but I'll choose some songs which speak for my morals, my values, my politics.
Right.
But so we have to keep it to more or less to the music side of things. However, I can certainly talk about what's going on in my life. I can talk about, things that are on my mind as I do.
Is the on air your favorite thing to do here?
Yes. It has been, but it's sort of evolving. I loved being on the air. I'm still relatively new to it. I mean, I've only been doing it for about 2 or 3 years, close to 3 years. So that I'm finding I'm getting to a place that I'm really enjoying, finding it very gratifying. On the other hand, another thing that I do here, I've talked about the traffic responsibility, and then I'm on air. But there's also one other area that I'm primarily responsible for, which is scheduling the interviews for everybody, not just me. I try to bring as many musicians that are playing in the community, around the Hudson Valley and Berkshires as much as I can. What I've really grown to love is the relationships that I have created. It's such an opportunity for me to support musicians in the community, and that has really recently become something that I really love to do and realize what a gift it is.
Do you remember the first time you were on air? Were you excited? Were you nervous?
Oh, nervous wreck.
You were...
Yeah, I don't know what the heck I was doing. And then I went home because I pre-recorded at my special.
What was the show about?
Oh, it's just music. I mean, but I just introduced songs, and I remember going home that night and turning it on and really being, wow, this is surreal. It's like, it was like, who's listening? I have no idea. Like, are people listening to this? How many people? I have no idea. I still really don't know.
Yeah, there's not really a way to know.
No, we don't know. We have the FM airwaves. We stream to countless people all over the place. I mean, people listen internationally, and anybody with an internet can, of course, listen.
So if somebody wants to break into radio, what would be the best way for them to break in?
Well, if you're young and you are high school, even, I would say you can reach out to, whatever radio stations there are in your area and let them know that you would be interested in an internship. I think that's the best way for a young person who is either high school or college age to break into radio. That
is for any job, but if somebody is dreaming of being an on-air talent or DJ, like you said...
Well, there's very few DJ jobs, and much of the radio industry is corporate now. So it's not an easy business to break into, but that should not be a deterrent to anybody if there's something that they really want to do. I fell into it very late in life. Not that I wasn't appropriate with my background. I have a lot of media background, and I talk into microphones historically quite a lot. That's the name of my memoir. I talk into microphones. But, don't be shy to reach out to radio stations. No matter what your age, if you're at a college age, by all means, worm your way into the college station that so many colleges have, and that's a perfect place to start. But, even podcasting, you get used to the microphone. You get used to how to talk into a microphone. You learn how to develop your on-air personality, which should be an extension of your authentic self. If you're clever and if you are motivated, just reach out to your local radio station and let them know that, if there's anything that you can do to be of help and connect, just start showing up if they have events. And sometimes, it could be, for instance, at WKZE, where I work, we have sales jobs that we need salespeople. Now, that's not an easy job. Sales is not easy. We support salespeople. They don't have to necessarily come, in our case here, with lots of experience in sales. It helps, but it's not required because we actually like the idea of training somebody from scratch. That's not a bad thing if they're really motivated. The difficult thing is that it's basically like any sales job, a commission-based type of job, right?
Right.
So it's hard for somebody who's got a family, for instance, to transition into a sales job unless they have other sources of income, right?
Right.
It's better for somebody who's young and who still has some support system or retiree or something like that. However, if you have other ways of making money, maybe you do it part-time. But what a great opportunity to be a salesperson here because there's so many independent businesses. And then if you're a salesperson here, you would get a shift. So there's a...
Right.
See
So
what I'm saying?
you come in any which way you can.
Yeah,
And then
I mean,
you get to know the people.
Yeah,
And
sometimes it's a matter of just being open to and being more imaginative or clever about how you break into a business you're interested in. It's not always like just I want to be a DJ because it is kind of a coveted thing, right? People love the idea of being on the air. It is a special way of connecting. But I let your listeners know I'm 60, plus years old, and I only got started working in my 50s, and so I was not a young spring chicken when I started at this thing.
I thought you were going to say that in order to be a DJ, you need to have a good voice.
Oh, well, it helps. Things have changed a lot, too, in that way. There is that thing historically called the voice of God, that baritone, and that whole style but nobody's interested. People aren't really interested in it. Nobody talks that way. I've never thought that was cool myself. I like a voice with character, don't you?
Yeah. I think listeners like voice with character, definitely.
I think so. I think we've evolved as a culture, and people now are kind of want to be able to relate to a DJ, and that's why they connect to a station because they like the personalities of the DJs,
right?
And they can relate to them on some level. When you're inside somebody's head, that's not a subtle thing. That's a big deal, and a lot of people really form relationships with DJs, and it's a gift. It's a really lovely thing to be able to do. So I try to honor that.
How much money can a DJ make?
I'm afraid I don't have a great answer. I would Google something like that. I could be serious because I don't know. I think there must be a really, really broad range. It's a good business to get in on the younger end only because it's not a big paying job necessarily. You can build a career, and then if you're young, you can move on to other stations if you're kind of more ambitious and where there might be more money. There is a huge range. We are a very small independent station. We just happen to connect to a large audience because this area of the country is really into music. Like it's a big thing up here.
Right.
There's a history of it here. So we're very fortunate. I don't know that this operation would work just anywhere in the country, but it can work here and maybe a couple of other places.
Right.
So I'm not sure, but you can, once you're inside, I'm sure you can make a living, but you may not get rich.
You mentioned streaming. How did streaming hurt or help radio?
Well, it helped. It's a benefit because, well, first of all, you're now, as audio content goes, we're competing now with podcasts. We're competing with audiobooks. Audio has just gotten so big in the last 10 years. But my sense, and I don't know that I'm an expert on this, but my sense is that streaming has only been help. It's broadened the audience. And yeah, it can only, to me, be a help.
I suspect you're right. Anyway, I'd like to know, what is the challenge you run into mostly?
Well, I have just technical things. Like I'm a very detail-oriented person, and the whole parts of traffic, and also there's an associated billing process that I am responsible for.
Aye, that's a headache.
It's a headache for me. I'm not an accountant.
Right.
It's so detail-oriented, and every contract is different, so every billing can be slightly different. And keeping on top of all that it's a real job for somebody who, is really good at it. And I just happen to be detail oriented, so I'm not bad at it. And I've gotten much better over the years doing it. But, if I wasn't doing it tomorrow, I wouldn't miss it. But that's probably the biggest challenge of the job. Yeah.
And what's the biggest reward?
Well, I said my relationship with the community of musicians is probably the biggest reward, I think.
Many times I listen to articles that are read by AI. Newspaper articles are available. Mm-hmm. Is this coming to radio too? Will you think?
Oh, I'm sure that there is companies trying to figure that out or have, but and there may be a way AI can support what we even do at a place like this, but that's not going to play a role at this radio station because specifically what we're offering is human beings. It's not like I'm against AI on some just on an essential level of some sort. I'm not. I mean, I think we're in such early stage of learning how to create a relationship with AI.
Right.
So I think that we could get there. What we're doing here, we're not going to employ AI anytime soon for that. We have human beings, and that's what people like about our station.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. I want to talk about your podcast, Film Wax. When exactly did you start it? You have lots of episodes.
I was an early podcaster in a sense. I started in 2011. At the time, nobody knew how to do a podcast. I had to figure it out on my own.
Tell us what the podcast is about.
It's an interview-based show. It's there to support independent film primarily. Whether it's a director or an actor or a cinematographer or an editor, or maybe it's a film festival director. It might be a producer, or it could be an author of a film book, or there's all sorts of people in the film industry. And it's primarily non-Hollywood, non-studio film people that I have on. There have been exceptions. I also occasionally bring on a musician, not just a film score or somebody who's written music for. I'm talking about just a musician I like or I'm interested in talking to, or an author or somebody, an artist. I just want to occasionally talk to somebody outside of the film world, but it's primarily film people. I mean, if you really listen to dipped into my show, it's like going to film school. You learn, like I have. Like when I started, I knew some things, but through doing the show, I'm I have expertise, on film.
It's all interview.
Yeah.
What is your favorite interview so far?
Oh my God, that is so hard. If you check out my podcast, there's really getting to 800.
Yeah, 900, I think I read.
It's getting there. No, it's not at 900 yet, but it's at 840 or something. It's so, and then often there's multiple interviews. It's insane.
I saw you have some really good people on your...
Oh, yeah. So you asked me, my favorites. I mean, I've had on some real heroes. I always bring up Werner Herzog and...
Oh, that was great. I listened to that.
No, you did. And, as prepared as I'd like to be, when you really have to ramp it up for Werner Herzog. And I wasn't quite prepared that he had as much time as he had. And then, so I was just asking questions I wasn't really planning to, because
Right.
I had all this. He said he wasn't... I'm not in that rush. You can ask me something. And then, but I had on, oh my God. Count.
You're imitating him. Yeah. Great.
Yes, I can do a little bit of Adam, yes. Okay. Oh my God, I mean, I don't even know where to start with in terms of, and then, just sometimes it's a first-time filmmaker who, nobody's heard of per se, but it's a special conversation, I just had on the actor, Griffin Dunn for
yes,
the
I saw
sixth
that,
time
yes.
or something, which is such a nice thing to be able to have that kind of relationship with people and to support their careers.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're a music lover, listen to WKZE. It's a fantastic station. It really is. They play great music. By the way, I love Women of Note on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what a show.
Therese
Baptiste.
Yeah, she's great.
She's fantastic. And her husband after that is also very good.
Ex-husband, but...
Oh, ex-husband? Oh,
yeah. Yeah, but yes. Yeah, Paul, he's got Nightshade.
So if you're a music lover, listen to WKZE. And if you want to get into film, interested in indie films, you should definitely listen to Film Wax. That's the podcast. You can find it anywhere podcast is broadcast.
That's right.
All right.
Wow, thank you, Maria.
Adam, thank you so much. That was so interesting.
I'm glad glad you reached out.
Now when I will listen to KZE, I'll have a picture in mind of what the place is like.
Yeah, but just, again... My last words I want to say to people, again, who want to get into radio, because it's not an easy business to get into, but people are generally friendly and willing to talk to you. So don't be shy. Whatever you want to get into, you have to get over being shy. That's my last bit of advice.
It's not easy because so many people wanting to be on-air talent, you think?
I think so. I think that everybody thinks they're, got the greatest taste that they're entertaining, and many people are. It's just a very romantic kind of job, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, just
to talk about music, and I mean, it's a great job. Again, I mean, it wouldn't hurt if my salary was a little higher. So, yes, I'll be doing this when I'm 90 years old. And
all right.
Thank you
so much. Okay, that's a wrap for today. If you have a comment or question or would like us to cover a certain job, please let us know. Visit our website at howmuchcanimake.info. We would love to hear from you. And on your way out, don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with anyone who is curious about their next job. See you next time.